All right. Good morning again. If you've got a flag, stand up and face it, or just stand up and be proud.
Service Color Guard from the Military District of Washington. They carry our nation's flag and are flanked by the colors of each of the 5 military services, as well as drummers from the President's Own United States Marine Band.
Colors. Green, set, march.
To honor America and perform our national anthem, please welcome 3-time Grammy winner, Pink.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we marched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets around the line, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Nothing I have done has been the straight path. When I started my website, I was like, I need a home for all these parts of myself.
All right. Sorry about that. Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody is doing super this morning. Just making a quick check here. Trying to see. Oh, say, can you see? Trying to see. We are live here this morning. We should be live this morning. But I'm not seeing it. It's not good. Hang on a quick second. All right, it shows we are live. So let's trying to get there. All right, yep, we're live. All right, great. Again, we're always having some kind of technical difficulty we're dealing with one way or the other. All right. So, well, good. It's always good to be live, right? Be alive. Woke up this morning, a little gloomy out today. So of course my lighting will be a little different today, but hey, that's the way it is. Hope you enjoyed that national anthem. I always enjoy everyone who does the national anthem. You know, God bless this country. God bless everybody who lives here and loves being here. As always, welcome and thank you for joining me here today on the show. And please subscribe if you're new. Please like this video. Please share this video. And then this morning, if you're joining us, please call in 715-352-0801. Would love to hear from you. All right, so this morning again, be doing it every morning, asking for everybody to help me with my nomination papers as I continue to run for District 7. And please take the time to go to my website at www.trailblazer19.com. Check out any new information there, videos, my platform, and of course my nomination papers are available for you to download and sign. And on that note, again, just real quick, for everybody that's new, this is what the nomination paper looks like. And you fill in by signing and then filling in your information. All those cells across in that row where you sign have to be filled out completely, including checking the little box with whether you're in a village, a town, or a city. And then you fill out the bottom as the signer. If you have anybody else in your home who is eligible to sign and willing to sign, have them then sign in the next section below, and then you can mail that back to the address you see on nomination paper, and need to have those back by about May 20th because signatures are due by June 1st. And I'd really appreciate any support you could give me in that manner. Also, there are instructions with it when you download and print the page, and then also we have put some additional instructions together you can download, so go ahead and do that. There's an interactive map, a link to an interactive map. It's pretty cool. You can zoom in, see all the different lines of where maybe you're close, especially in counties like Wood County and Jackson County. They all have split, if you will. So sometimes you're in, sometimes you're not. But this map's very nice. You can always print it out like this if you just want to see it, or you can use it online and you can zoom in and check things out. Also, we have a sample instruction page. Please check that out. And as always, we'll talk a little bit about Tom Tiffany's tweets this morning again. He's making all kinds of promises, but hasn't delivered yet. And we're going to talk about some severe issues that are going on that have been being brought up here recently in the news. And Tom's completely silent. Just completely silent. And where the heck's Trisha? I mean, we don't hear anything from her. But his biggest post was that he's going to promise to put this country back to work. And then he asked for a donation. So, hey, I promise you, can you send me some cash? How about, since you're so good at making promises, how about you actually get something done? Like get in the legislature and get a bill put forward that changes what's going on. This whole idea of having to go to the Supreme Court is kind of a joke. It just defers from the fact that all you had to do was get a vote on the floor, and nobody seems to want to vote about it. So you can make all kinds of promises, Tom, but you're not delivering in terms of protecting us here in Wisconsin from something very close to home right now, and it's very disappointing. So join me, everyone. Sign my nomination papers. Check me out on Facebook. There are a lot of groups being formed for each of the counties, and next week we're going to start doing town hall meetings, and I look forward to those. All right, and as always, I'm Michael Opela, and I approve this message, and then paid for by the Trailblazers for Michael Opela Committee. 2, 3, 4. See, you got to be legit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, good. All kinds of fun. So it's official. And there are all kinds of articles on the news right now. You can search drone spying, drones monitoring, drones this, drones that. And it's there are counties and cities and states around the country that are using drones to monitor and enforce social distancing and violations related to the state's lockdown. And what they want to call it, stay-at-home orders. Orders still imply a lockdown. And if you're now sending out drones that are monitoring people and then using that information to go ahead and go after those people, that would be a lockdown. I did text both Representative Bob Culp and Senator Jerry Petrowski asking, hey, is this happening in Wisconsin? And Representative Culp was the only one to respond. And he is asking someone that he trusts whether or not this is true. And just this morning, there is some verification that Wisconsin's receiving the same drones as are being sent around the country. Now, the important thing to remember here, or to know, is that these drones are being donated by a company out of China. Woo! Big surprise, right? So China is donating drones where they have control of the technology and probably are able to access those cameras at any time they want. And these are DJI drones, and California's been in the news about it. New York's been in the news about it. And later in the show, we're going to show an episode by Laura Ingraham, and she's talking about many issues. And one of them is she shows the different states that have received these donations of drones. And wouldn't you know it, Wisconsin's one of them. All right. So on that note, we need to be contacting our legislature and letting them know that is kind of like a huge violation of search and seizure. So sending something up without a search warrant and spying on people to gather evidence without probable cause is a violation of our search and seizure laws. And they need to get rid of them. And they need to, put them in dry dock, if you will, and then get rid of them and never do that again. So drone spying on U.S. citizens, again, hell no. Kind of like, okay, social tracking, hell no. So we need to get very vocal about this with our legislators and to let them know, hey, this is a big issue and we're not going to tolerate it and it needs to stop now. And as the states and these governors continue to push citizens to the brink, what about state militias? So are we getting to a point where people are going to start organizing under the Constitution and creating their own local militias to, make sure the government is doing what it's supposed to be doing and all the things that are protected under the Constitution as our rights? I mean, I've read the Declaration of Independence. I've read the Bill of Rights to everyone in previous shows, so please take a look at that. But we're on the brink. I talked about this many weeks ago. If there was ever a time that we should be concerned about civil war again, it'd be right now. You have a large faction of the country that is perpetuating the idea of, using this as an opportunity to push Green New Deal, how to, put into place more socialist environment with providing people with guaranteed income and any other type of socialist activity like social tracking, like drone surveillance. So what's going to happen if we don't stand up? They're just going to pass those laws and we're going to be forced to live with them. We need to make sure that stops. And to be honest with you, the fact that I'm running against Tom is really irrelevant to the fact that you as people in the state of Wisconsin need to think about that he's not doing it and he's not out there. You're hearing it from me. You're not hearing it from him. And as far as I'm concerned, I would never allow this type of activity, or would I allow it to go on without at least being vocal in the media and being vocal in the media every day until it stopped? So you need to decide whether you want someone like Tom or not. Just because he makes you a lot of promises, how's he living up to them right now? Is he defending our freedom right now? Absolutely not. Hell no. All right, so now with that, we'll continue to explore as the shows go on the idea of state militias and see what happens in the coming weeks. But mark my prediction right now, if something doesn't change or something doesn't get better, I predict we will see more and more state militias. We have seen small little militias form at these demonstrations, people walking around with their constitutional right to carry arms, and they were armed and ready to go. So you can't ignore that fact. So let's take a minute and let's watch Laura Ingraham's video and listen to what she has to say, because it's pretty interesting. If I can get it to start. Oh my goodness, sorry. So I think I need some new technology. And these ads drive me nuts, so I apologize.
Not taken 15,000 into over 5 million trading stocks. Well,
Don't care. All right, here we go.
but first, my thoughts at the end of day 35, America in shutdown. Democrats taking the viral path to socialism. You feel it, don't you? You see it, you sense it. There's a growing divide in America in this COVID-19 era, and I'm not talking about rich versus poor, or black versus white, or even red state versus blue state. I'm talking about the growing tension between the Open Now coalition versus the Stay Closed and Perpetuity contingent. Now, the Angle told you weeks ago that if people began to see the government's response to the coronavirus as more toxic than the virus itself, well, things would start to get heated. That's what we've been seeing over the past week or so.
People are starting to die because of the economy.
I'm protesting the slow erosion of our rights.
We're just here for our freedoms. People need to get back to work.
It's about your constitutional rights. We're being muzzled by the government. Don't let the mask that you wear turn into that muzzle.
And the president even chimed in yesterday.
People feel that way. You're allowed to protest. I mean, they feel that way. I watched the protest, and they were all 6 feet apart. I mean, it was a very orderly group of people. But you know, some have gone too far. Some governors have gone too far.
Now, the folks protesting the stay-at-home orders are mostly small business owners, their moms, their dads, students even, who are seeing their futures go down the drain. Of course they're worried about their fellow man. Of course they want to keep the vulnerable, the elderly, safe and secure. But they also complain about needless and arbitrary rules that declare bike stores essential, but not churches. Now, this video was probably one of the more disturbing visuals from the last weekend. Officials in San Clemente poured 37 tons of sand into Ralph's skate court after skateboarders were caught routinely ignoring the no trespassing signs. Now, come on, this is kind of pathetic, don't you think? Are teens getting sunshine and zooming past each other really the problem here, the big threat to civilization? I guess maybe, I don't know. But over the weekend, we learned that government researchers have found that simulated sunlight rapidly killed the virus and aerosols. Sunlight could actually kill it. Like Mom always said, fresh air and sunshine really is the best disinfectant. But even if you who do socially distance in California, remember, you socially distance, but you can still be snitched upon.
If you've observed recurring violations of the Safer at Home order, please continue to let us know at coronavirus.lacity.org/business violation. You know the old expression about snitches? Well, in this case, snitches get rewards.
Snitches get rewards. That one comment told you everything you need to know about how far elected officials are actually willing to go to enforce a new normal, a phrase I despise, because a new normal means civil liberties be damned. But even when snitches aren't snitching, watch yourselves, because drones are flying overhead.
Now, it's
The
important.
drones make it
Pay
easier
attention
for
here.
police to see into certain areas where access by patrol cars is more difficult. That includes tight spaces between buildings, behind schools, and in backyards. The drones donated by DJI, a Chinese company, have gone to 43 agencies in 22 states.
Chinese affiliated drone company. I hate to that. I'm not saying oh brother, I say oh big brother. Now, beyond the noble motives of keeping Americans safe and free at the same time is the ignoble goal of using this crisis to remake American society according to more progressive ideals.
Let's use this situation, this crisis, this time, to actually learn the lessons, value from the reflection, and let's reimagine what we want society to be. How do we have a better transportation system, a better housing system, better public safety system, better health system, better social equity? And let's use this as a moment to really plan a change that we could normally never do unless you had this situation.
Oh, that's it. Change you could never do if you actually had to run it by the state legislature, perhaps. Or maybe he's just talking about improving the state government's response to future, heaven forbid, pandemics. That would be fine. Well, that would also require taking a hard look at why your state budgeters nixed ventilators in favor of social welfare projects. Meanwhile, you get the sense that someone out there is feeling a little left out in this COVID crisis because she's streaming up a storm on Instagram.
Incrementalism is not helpful in this moment. We have to make sure that we demand meaningful change and meaningful assistance for working families. That means $2,000 a month plus $1,000 for your kids recurring.
That's a pretty good amount. $2,000 a month. Why stop at $5,000 a week? Do I hear $6,000? All right, on the left coast, though, they're not about to be outdone by the New Yorkers because Governor Gavin Newsom has his own ideas about how to use the shutdown to open up a path of new climate change policies. His new task force will be headed by none other than, drumroll please, that everyman, Tom Steyer, the billionaire who believes in banning fossil fuels, a wealth tax, and slavery reparations. He says the goal of the task force is to recover as fast and as safely as possible from the COVID-19 induced recession and to create a fair, green, and prosperous future that remedies some of the injustices which this COVID-19 pandemic has revealed in our society. This pandemic has revealed a lot, all right, about China, about state preparedness, about the ineptitude of the CDC, and about Democrats' unwillingness to tolerate dissent. Because if you're someone who believes the shutdowns in most states now are hurting in many cases more than helping, well, you're going to be labeled a pariah and anti-science. And heaven forbid if you choose to exercise your First Amendment rights to peaceably protest.
If somebody trying to organize something like that, if that qualifies harmful information.
We do classify that as harmful misinformation, and we take that down. So I think a lot of the stuff that people are saying that is false around a health emergency like this can be classified as harmful misinformation.
Harmful misinformation. Now, what's more true here? New York will need 30,000 ventilators? That's sparked a lot of panic. Was that harmful? Or this?
I think it was probably the worst week of my life. Pretty much looking at possibly losing everything we've worked for.
The first week we got lost already 80% of our inventory.
Right now we're at zero everywhere. I mean, no one's, it's even worse than I would have guessed.
So if those folks wanted to show up and peacefully protest, that would be part of the harmful disinformation campaign that's been taken down from Facebook. I need the new rules. So snitching, spying with drones, limiting speech, chasing surfers off beaches or skateboarders out of skate parks, where there are proportionally, very few COVID cases. None of that sounds very healing to me. And those are my thoughts at the end of day 35, America in shutdown.
All right. So many topics to cover in that broadcast from Laura Ingraham. And I would encourage everyone to watch her broadcasts. She has some really good insights and counter arguments to what we're seeing. I mean, she's exactly right. If you think about people talking about the Constitution and Bill of Rights, it's not the leaders who, classify themselves as Democrats. It's interesting sometimes that we think about being a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or a libertarian. And the question really becomes, is everybody that extreme? And the answer is no. So talking about being a Democrat or talking about being a Republican isn't a bad thing. It's just a way to identify yourself in some of the ways you think. But there are plenty of people in this country and people that I know that want, fair representation. They want freedom. They don't want the government surveilling them. They don't want to live in China. And they want to help people. And they want to help people do better for themselves. They're not looking to do handouts. They're not looking for government control. They don't want a small group of people controlling their lives. And that's what we're seeing here over and over and over again. And it's becoming evidently clear that the current policies are being driven by politics and not what's best for the people of this country. And they're using the fear around COVID-19 to drive those messages to a point where people are buying into them. And unfortunately, you could make some very strong correlations to any time when a dictator has come in and used a bad situation to bring themselves to power. And there have been plenty of references about President Trump and his abuse of power. And it is unfathomable how much is being done by governors in this country. And unfortunately, I have to say it, that Democratic governors and their attempts to convince the people in their states that these socialist tactics and these dictator and violations of our Constitution and the Bill of Rights are okay. Nobody has to die. I'm sorry, we can prove very clearly that plenty of people die every day. So that's really not an argument. So it's inflammatory, it's irresponsible, it's not bringing the point across in terms of here's what our overall objective is. And it's just becoming more and more evident that their overall objective is to impose what Bernie Sanders was carrying, and even more extreme. And Joe Biden is right there with them. So, whether or not they have other policies that have legitimacy, their extreme views on instituting socialist policies doesn't work. People live in poverty all around this world that are living under either dictators or socialist regimes and severe poverty, and they're not able to get to health care, so they die sooner. If they can't get to health care, they're going to die, and the state makes the decision on how that's going to happen. So just on and on and on and on. We could just go on for hours. But the conversations about these drones need to come up, and they need to come up now, and we need to make sure we communicate with our legislators on that topic. So food for thought today. What would you do if a drone flew over your property? I'd love to hear about it in the comments, in the chat function here live still. Please jump in, give us your thoughts on what you would do if you saw a drone fly over your property. On that note, have a great day. Stay safe, stay strong, and we'll see you tomorrow.